This is episode 467 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abu-Al-Samad from Telemetry.
I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International. I forgot where I work for a second.
And I guess I'm
as long as
I'm
they
playing
don't forget.
Craig.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Craig.
As long as the check's clear. And I'm Craig Cole with, I guess we'll say greencars.com right now.
All right. Well, Craig, thanks for joining us this week. And let's, as the guest, let's start with you. What have you been driving?
I don't have any fleet vehicles this week. I am getting, or right now this week, I will be getting a Subaru Trail Seeker coming in, so I'm excited to experience that. But the most recent product that I've driven, you were there with me, Sam, the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. We were both out in the Seattle area for that a week or so ago, and surprisingly competent SUV for a brand that really isn't on a lot of drivers' radar right now. I don't think most folks know that Mitsubishi is still a going concern in the U.S. And but that does not denigrate the Outlander. It's a surprisingly good plug-in hybrid. They've really improved the drivetrain for the 2026 model year. You're getting a larger battery pack, significantly more horsepower, and all-electric range. And they made a few other tweaks here and there. But really, I was pretty impressed overall.
What did you spend? I think we drove together at least part of the day. What was it about it that impressed you the most?
I think the ride and handling are very good, surprisingly good. It's the ride filters out bumps very nicely, but it doesn't flop around in turns. And I think the drivetrain, aside from some weird whirring noises it makes at very low speeds, which is not something I've noticed in other hybrids or plugins, very smooth and responsive powertrain. So those are probably the two best elements of the vehicle. Other than that, it's basically a Nissan Rogue that you may or may not like the styling of as much, because they are a shared architecture, a shared vehicle essentially, that Mitsubishi sort of tweaks with its own design language. But yeah, ride and handling are good. The interior is very nice. That might be a step up over the Rogue as well. They've got some nice like quilting on the seats and door panels. But yeah, like if you're shopping for an SUV, you want fuel economy and you're willing to consider a plug-in and you're willing to plug it in, don't buy a plug-in if you ain't going to plug it in, folks.
Well, if you buy a Stellantis plug-in, you're not allowed to plug it in.
Oh.
Well, no, you're only allowed to plug it in for a couple of weeks when you first get it. And then you'll get a recall notice telling you to park it outside. Do not park it in your garage, and don't plug it in. Don't ever plug it in.
Don't plug it in.
That's the good thing you paid extra for the battery. But yeah, if you're considering a plug-in hybrid SUV, of that sort of compactish class, I don't know what you consider it these days. Is it midsize? I don't think so. Is it compact? Not quite. Somewhere in between.
It's the same size as most of what others consider compact. So, Rogue, CRV, RAV4.
None of them are compact, to be honest, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a CRV from 10, 15 years ago or a RAV4 from 10 or 15 years ago, it's considerably larger. But then so is everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you're looking for one of those vehicles, absolutely go and test drive the Outlander PHEV. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I noticed in the video, I don't think I saw you actually try to climb into that third row seat.
Well, you see, Sam, I am an adult male, and I also have legs, so there's no room in that third row even for children. So I'm not gonna risk, requiring medical assistance upon extracting myself.
As we get older, the third row test becomes more dangerous for us.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Like in my 20s or 30s, third row test, no problem. Now, no.
Yeah, when you get into your 50s and above, the flexibility required to get into a lot of those third rows starts to evaporate.
Yeah. But literally almost useless third row. If you have a very small child that doesn't have legs, maybe it's a viable place to put them. But really, it's for emergencies only. If you're an adult, puppies maybe.
Put the puppies back there
for your next Frodo adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Travis Whittles, who's the head of product planning for Mitsubishi at the event. And, I asked him about the third row, and, he said, he's got a 3-year-old that is in a booster seat. And sometimes, when his mother-in-law is visiting and they want to go somewhere, he's got 2 kids. And so he can put the booster seat back in the third row and put her in there, put the 3-year-old in there. And then his mother-in-law can sit in the second row in front of the 3-year-old. But that's probably about the upper limit of what you can do with that third row.
Yeah. We were both looking at it like, I guess technically it is a seat, and it is behind the second row. So they're checking the boxes.
And there's seat belts. There's 2 seat belts and headrests and everything.
Yep.
So it's got all the regulatory. It meets all the regulatory requirements, because there's nothing in the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards that says anything about how much, if any, footroom is required. And there is.
You could just sit cross-legged maybe on the cushion, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's safe. But Sam, you're driving something much more interesting, I think, this week.
Yeah,
certainly more adventurously designed.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Robbie first. What'd you have this week, Robbie?
So I had the Subaru Outback Wilderness. This is the Outbackier Outback.
The most Outback of Outbacks.
Yeah, I drove this a bit back when they launched the vehicle, and like the entire drive was pretty much out off road. With some, road, we drove up to the mountain to get to it, and I was really impressed at how well it drives. I was both on road and off. The dampers, in X mode, they're for off roading. They work really well, but they work really well when you're cornering in a vehicle that shouldn't corner as well as it does. That's the weird thing about the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Is that it handles really well. It has 9.5 inches of ground clearance, so it's a taller or a higher sitting Outback. It's about 8.7 for the regular Outback.
I think so.
This is more. So almost almost an extra whole extra inch. It's got a 2.4 liter boxer engine, 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque. It's got the CVT, but it gets out of its own way. I stomp on the accelerator. It goes really fast. It moves quicker than you would think with a vehicle of this size. When you're hopping on the freeway and whatnot. Tons and tons and tons of room. I know this because I had to cram it full of stuff this weekend for a big show we had that involved DJing and drums and multiple guitar amps, and I shoved so much boxes of we had a shimmer wall.
What?
A shimmer wall. It's like a wall, and it has giant sequins, they're about 1 inch by 1 inch, and so they're all silver, and when the wind hits them, they shimmer.
Oh,
so it looks cool.
Okay, does it now?
No, there you go, shimmer wall. I didn't know what it was. I had seen them, but I didn't know what it was called until I was. Yeah. Anyway,
now I have to go look that up.
Look up shimmer wall, everyone. So it's tons of room for all that stuff, plus me and a passenger as we went to the club because it's not really, it's sits higher than the regular Outback. It's not so high that it's difficult to get things in and out. And some of the stuff we had to put in the back of that, including my stupid guitar amp that weighs so damn much. I need to sell all these guitar amps to get a nice light one.
Or just go acoustic.
It doesn't really work. I have an acoustic. It doesn't really, it's not going to work for this show. That all said, I really like this vehicle. I didn't do any off-roading this week. I did all that on the drive program, and it worked really well. Just driving around town, going to the store, doing a lot of errands, of course, filling it with all that gear. It still didn't feel, like it was, like the extra weight was keeping it from continuing to be a, plucky little SUV around town. Sometimes you got to get out and look at it, which is, that's sort of its Achilles heel for this vehicle. I think, other people are like, so that's an Outback? I'm like, yeah. They're like, all right. I'm like, hey, and this is with other other Subaru owners. I'm like, yeah, but no one buys a Subaru because they're pretty. They're like, yeah, mine's not pretty. So yeah, no, it's a rugged, even though the whole lineup is, essentially, I guess, rugged. Again, like most Subarus, I see this is probably going to do more off-roading than literally any raised Jeep or F-150 or
literally
or Raptor.
Yes.
Probably.
And so, yeah, no, it's, I drove the regular Outback. I did some off-roading in that. And it was fine. This is going to be the same thing. Same X mode, same hill descent that you don't have to turn on. Thank God. You just go down a hill. I don't need to hold on. Let me find how to turn on hill descent mode, so I'm not slamming on the brakes and sliding down the hill.
That's part of the fun, though.
Yeah,
it's just as a point of reference, that 9.5 inches of ground clearance, that's a half-inch more than a Jeep Recon.
Bam.
Yeah. So
that's G-Wagon level. I think G-Wagon is 9.7.
Those dampers, are they magnetorheological, or are they just like what are they? The control valve type?
Subaru? Come on.
I would.
They are Professor X. They're not Magneto. Come on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hold on. I got a whole thing. I don't know. I can't find it. They give me the whole. Where is it? Where's the upgrade suspension? Electronic controlling your front suspension detect. Adaptive forces.
They're probably not even going to say.
Skyhook. Yeah, it doesn't offer the. Wait. Electronically controlled dampeners.
There you go.
There you go.
So just
good enough. They work
active
well.
dampers are changing.
Yeah, they're active dampers. They work well. I will say though, it's still Subaru. They're not exactly the most efficient vehicles on the road. So the EPA, the Monroney says 21 city, 27 highway, 23 combined. I just went out and looked at it. 21 is what I got. Driving on the freeway, driving around. I did a lot of all-wheel drive. I got stuck in a lot of traffic. Yeah, permanent all-wheel drive. It doesn't help. I got stuck in a lot of traffic. I'm dragging things around, to and from my band's practice space and to the club. Overall, originally I was supposed to get a Telluride, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to put all this stuff in here, and they had to switch it to the Outback. I was like, oh man, this stuff's not going to fit in there. Nah, no problem. It all fit in there.
It's surprisingly roomy in there. When I had one the other week, I was shocked. You fold the back seats down. There's an amazing amount of space in the back there. So that boxy shape that doesn't look terribly pretty, very utilitarian.
If the back of your SUV or whatever is a box, you're going to have a lot more cargo space. That's all there is to it. And here's a little tip for people who move things. So I will put a tarp down in the back of these vehicles because I don't want to scratch them up. A lot of the stuff I have is, there's metal, there's stuff, there's guitars, there's, things I've built that I'm shoving in the back of these. So I put I put a tarp down so I don't scratch up the cars. But also what's nice is when you put a tarp down, everything slides so much easier in and out of your vehicle versus like the carpet or if it's got a rubberized, space. So if you can go to Harbor Freight, get a tarp for like $5. They'll probably just give you one. They don't care. They're Harbor Freight. Throw in the back of your car and then especially if you have long, like I had like a 5-foot long like DJ booth and like my amps and all this stuff.
Shimmer wall.
And a shimmer wall. Well, the shimmer wall just comes parts and like
the shimmer wall's kind of got its own slidability to it.
Yeah, though. So it just everything just slides in. So that's my sort of, if you need to load stuff into your vehicle, throw a tarp down, and it'll just slide in a lot easier than if you didn't have a tarp. There you go. Especially when you have seats to go down and there's all the little creases and things that you're shoving and you get stuck and you got to get up and open the back door and lift it up a little and pull it and then push it the rest. Yeah. Get yourself a tarp. Again, Harbor Freight, like a nickel.
If that.
Well, how much was this thing? So it's $45,000. So it's not a cheap car. And then they added, all the options which was a multimedia, 21 point. I'm sorry, not 21. That was 12.1 inch multimedia. I guess it's larger. Sunroof. Who cares? Napa leather trimmed upholstery with. I got dogs. I'm not going to get stuff like that. Ventilated front seats, which is nice. Nice. It's gotten the 80s. So that's kind of hot for us here in the Bay Area. A 12-way driver's seat, 8-way, and then heated mirrors with turn signals. So that's kind of nice too.
Heated mirrors are definitely nice, like in the wintertime. If you get snow and ice, having something that can melt that stuff off of your mirrors. That's nice. A nice feature to have.
Yeah. So the heated mirrors is pretty nice. I really like this vehicle. I mean, the thing with Subarus is there's we're just gonna make a good car and then maybe put a few little flourishes on it and then just push it out the door. And you're gonna get the car and you're like, you know what? It's not fancy, but it does all the things it's supposed to. The end. That's all people. And to be honest, Subaru people, that's all they want. Can I put a dog in it? Yeah. Can I go
Can I put half a dozen dogs in it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I fill it with dogs? And can I go up a really weird dirt road? Yep. Yeah. You can do all those things.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
When looking at what Subaru's been doing the last couple of years, adding hybrids to more of their models, I would be surprised if by next year there isn't an Outback hybrid. Which would definitely help the fuel economy. That would get it up into at least for the Outback, probably at least into the low 30s.
Yeah, people, especially now with gas being so much. I mean, my WRX, if I was lucky, I got 12. I was like, hey, I'm on the freeway, I'm getting 12. I remember being so excited.
Yeah, but you got to shift it out of second gear once in a while.
Well, yeah. I was ready. I was always ready to overtake some. Well, the second gear on the
WRX
is actually
Ford does better than that.
The second gear on the WRX is a very shallow gear. It's third gear. Okay. That's what throws everyone off is that second gear on the WRX. They're like, what? I'm like, you got to shift out of it quickly. It's for boom, boom. Yeah, it's
1, 2, 3. You're on your way.
Yeah,
it's like a waltz. 1, 2.
Yeah, it's for rally driving. It's like boom, boom. Yeah. You can't just hang out in second gear in WRX.
Awesome.
That's my second piece of advice for the day.
Okay.
Get a tarp. You can't hang out in second gear in a WRX.
Will there be more unsolicited advice?
Oh, yeah.
There's the show, or is that the limit? Just
the whole show is unsolicited advice, Craig.
Yeah, the whole show is just Robbie telling people how to live and then everyone just tuning me out.
Yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I had a vehicle that in many ways is very similar to one you had a few weeks ago, Robbie. It has a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8. It's a plug-in hybrid. But unlike the M5 that you had, I had one that has a slightly larger battery in it, so a little more electric range. I had the BMW XM label. Why they call it the XM label? Because when they launched it, there was the XM, and then there was the XM label, which I think had a few other things on it, and now there's just the label. It's kind of a weird nomenclature for it. But anyway, I'm just going to call it the XM. And in the 50-plus year history of BMW's M division, there have only ever been 2 models that were exclusive to M, that were not shared. We're not based on another conventional BMW model. And in a lot of ways, the XM is still kind of based on other BMWs, but it has totally unique bodywork. So they had the M1 back in 1978, mid-engine sports car. And then now they have the XM. And one of the interesting design details on the original M1, on the rear corners, at the end of the buttresses and at the back, you had the little BMW badge at each rear corner of the M1, and so they kind of echo that a little bit with the XM. They have the BMW badge etched into the glass of the tailgate at the top corners,
which is kind of cool, to be honest. I would like more.
It's a nice little
weird
touch.
Little etching. I guess I could just go somewhere and have them do it for me.
Yeah.
Like just like boop, I got the Hyundai logo etched on the back of my M5 windshield.
So the XM has, like I said, has the same twin turbo 5.5 liter or 4.4 liter V8 as the M5. 577 horsepower, 553 foot-pounds of torque, lots and lots of torque, and it makes some nice sounds. Another kind of interesting design detail of the XM. The XM, not what I would call a pretty vehicle.
It's an angry vehicle.
It's a very angry looking description.
Like it's like if you owe it money, you need to take out another loan.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the XM.
Mortgage your house, sell your kidneys, because the XM's gonna break a kneecap if you don't pay it back.
Who poisoned the water in Munich? That's what I want to know. Over the last 20 years, who poisoned the water?
I don't know.
What's going on there?
Well, I will say when this came out, the kidneys on everything were really, really big, and this one was actually mid-size compared to everything else.
Somewhat more modest kidneys.
Yeah. So it's a very angular. I mean, it's essentially going after the same person who would buy an Urus, a Lamborghini Urus. They're like, hey, do you want a Lamborghini Urus but with a BMW, and and a wacky rave or club roof inside your vehicle, like the ceiling's like a little party.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You get into it, and you look up at the roof, and it looks like it's the shade for a sunroof, but it's not actually a sunroof. It's fixed in place. There's no sunroof there.
Oh wow!
But it's got this faceted finish to it, texture to it, and then the ambient lighting along the edges. It's kind of peculiar.
It's very Nintendo 64 polygons.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God. Oh, I love GoldenEye. This is awesome. This is very cool. I like weirdness in cars like this that doesn't, I like weirdness of oh, this looks weird versus weirdness. Oh, you can't open the door unless you push a special button somewhere. This weird is fine because they're oh, it's just a weird, design flourish. Versus oh, we don't have turn signals. What?
That's Audi these days. They poisoned the water in Ingolstadt as well with their turn signal design.
Another detail of M cars is they all have quad exhaust pipes, but on the XM, they're stacked vertically for some reason. Not sure why, but
it's a tall car. That's why.
Yeah. It's a little different. It's fine. Yeah,
that's the XM.
The overall design, like I said, it's kind of an angry looking car. That black stripe along the belt line is kind of unusual because it's not painted on there. It's a piece of black trim that goes along the sheet metal. Again, kind of peculiar. And like the other high end, like the 7 Series and the X7, it's got the LED light strip around the kidneys, so at night you see the kidneys at night along with the lights. So that's kind of a little different detail.
So when you owe it money, it can see you coming. Or you can see it coming. You're like, oh no, run!
What are those little tabs they put on the M cars side view mirrors where it almost reattaches to the base of the A-pillar?
To control the airflow. It's for aerodynamics.
Okay.
And also to
you need that
cooler.
on the street. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's little handles, so if you have a skateboard and you see one, you can just grab that little handle and ride along.
Oh, that's perfect.
Don't do that. I don't know. The fact I have to tell people not to do that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Don't
so,
listen.
Again, as I said, this is a plug-in hybrid. So it's got a 25-ish kilowatt hour battery pack. In the M5, it's only 15 kilowatt hours. So the XM is EPA rated at 30 miles of electric range. And like other BMWs, it's got a mode button so you can put it in hybrid mode or, just charge sustaining mode or in electric mode. So the other day, I put it in electric mode and went out and did my usual test loop. And I actually got it to go 34 miles without starting the engine. So a little over 34 miles before the engine fired up, and even though this thing weighs 6,000 pounds, so again, heavy vehicle, much like the M5, although the M5's a mere 5,500-ish pounds.
Nothing. It's a chunky boy.
Yeah, very chunky.
Everything is getting heavy. Everything is heavy these days, though. Yeah. Like lightweighting, everybody forgot about that. Right. Lightweight, what? Huh?
Just put bigger engine in it.
Carbon fiber.
But
throw a turbo.
The carbon fiber's on the dashboard, where it does the most good.
It saves, yes, it does the most good, exactly. Structural trim.
Yeah. So 194 horsepower electric motor, and I had no problem, in electric mode, even with 194 horsepower and a 3-ton car, easily, when the lights turned green, I was easily, out accelerating everybody without even really trying. Because you've also got, it's 207 foot-pounds of torque, but it's from 0 RPM, so it's fine. So you can actually drive this, if you plug it in. Again, it's a plug-in hybrid. You should plug it in. And if you plug it in, you'll be able to do most of your daily driving without using any gas, which is good, because when the battery is depleted and you get into the hybrid mode, again, it outperformed the EPA rating. It's only rated at 14 miles per gallon combined.
Combined? I was expecting 20.
Yeah, 14 combined.
It's got a V8 in it.
But yeah, it's a 577 horsepower V8.
Yeah, it's not made for sipping gas. But for big gulps of gas.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got almost 18 miles per gallon with it.
Wow, okay. That's very on brand for the Germans, though, because they're all gun shy from Dieselgate. Like everything they underreport.
Yeah,
it's like, oh no, we're not getting into that again.
So if you plug it in, and even if you go past what the electric motor can provide on its own, and you get into hybrid mode, you're still going to get decent fuel economy with this thing. Between the combination of the 25 kilowatt hours of battery and the engine, combine all that stuff, it's going to do okay. On a longer road trip, it's going to be well under 20 miles per gallon, if you're doing a long road trip with it. But then again, if you can afford this car,
fuel's not an issue.
Yeah,
I drove this from Arizona to San Francisco. I got to drive away of this vehicle, and it was a really it was a comfortable kind of GT like cruiser, and whenever I needed to like do anything, it's all boom. It was ready to party.
I mean, when you put it in M1 or M2 mode, it will go. I did a couple of tests. I got 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds roughly. It's, again, I was not using launch control or anything. And BMW claims 3.6 seconds. So it's a quick vehicle. Again, 3 tons of car here, but lots of space. The back seat is extremely roomy. Lots of cargo space out in the back, behind the back seat. So this would be, aside from the fuel efficiency, this would be a decent vehicle for a long road trip. Perhaps if you're driving across the country with some beagles.
Yeah.
And you get segment leading diamond faceting. Let's not forget Sam.
Yes, that is true.
I had to get up early, fly to Arizona, and then I had planned to sort of just drive all the way home. But I was going to visit my in-laws in Palm Springs, and I did not do that. Because I was just tired, because I had to get up at like 4 a.m. to catch my plane. So between Arizona, Phoenix, and where I in Palm Springs, I pulled over and took a little nap in the back of the car. And it was very comfortable because they had the little pillows, the little luxury pillows.
Oh, yeah. Those pillows are really nice.
They're very comfy. So I pulled over at like some stop that told me not to go wandering around because there were a ton of scorpions out in the world ready to get me. And I pulled over and had a nice little rest. It was nice.
Yeah,
Did you get threatened by the police for sleeping at the rest area? Or no?
I love that. I love how like you go to the rest area so you don't drive, dangerously, and then the police come up are like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like,
you can't.
What are you talking about? It's the whole
no
point
sleeping
of a
in your car.
area.
Like what?
Yeah.
Why is this place here? What?
Would you rather me just drive? Yes, we'd rather you drive and put your and everyone else's life in danger.
Welcome to end stage capitalism.
Yeah, driving while tired is just as bad as driving while drunk.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes.
Easily.
But you can't do that. I'm like, what? I have been told to leave places like at the beach. We would drive really early to go to the beach, and we get there like 5 a.m. sunset up, so we go to sleep in the car, and then the cops would be all, "You're sleeping illegally." I'm like, "We're just waiting for the sun come up so we can surf. You got to go somewhere else for that."
Oh.
So we just went to the other side of the beach. We just went to another parking lot down the street and fell asleep at a different beach. You showed us.
So the only option installed on mine that I've been testing is the $2,500 M drivers package. I'm not sure what's included in that.
Everything tastes better with the M.
Yeah, it's got more M. And then, so the grand total on this one came to $163,275.
Are we at the point where luxury automakers are raising their prices so high that they're angling for an ever smaller group of customers, and then everything's just going to implode? Because $163,000, that's, at least to me, rather a lot.
Yes. But you have to look at it this way. The wealthy are getting wealthier by the day,
this is true.
And so they can afford to buy more cars. So even though they are a very small portion of the population, they have enough money that they can buy all the cars that they want. So, by offering vehicles like this, all that does is encourage them to get bigger garages.
Yeah.
But what if they get bored and they want to like buy up all of the single family homes in a community? Like, they may not be buying cars.
Well, then they can use the garages, all the garages in those single-family homes to store all their cars.
Where are they going to keep their cars, Craig? Come on, you're not even thinking.
All right, so this was the 2026 BMW XM label, and it did better than I expected on range and fuel economy. The charge port is a J1772 port on the left front fender, and it's got big honking tires, and they're summer performance tires. So you definitely will want to swap these out for some winter tires. Have your guy, take it out, take it to the garage and swap the tires at the first hint of cold. But other than that, it's pretty nice, It's angry looking, but it's nice.
I'm trying to find what my photos of when I had it, so maybe I can see what my gas mileage was. But it's because nothing works correctly anymore in the tech world. It's weirdly difficult for me just to find a photo from a certain month.
Of course,
and a certain
you have
year
to
now.
re-log in again, and then there's going to be send a message to your backup email account, right? And then once you log in, you can't find it because you don't remember what folder it's in, and search is useless.
And unlike all of the recently launched BMW models, the XM still has manual vents. All the new Neue Class stuff has software-controlled vents. Not in the XM. So buy the XM instead of the Neue Class cars. At least, while it's still available, because it hasn't sold all that well. So, BMW might discontinue it soon.
All right.
So that's the XM.
All right. So I paid $103 for gas. That's That's what I've found so far. I haven't found a picture that
he couldn't find the photo, but he was able to search Google Sheets in his
where's the
business expenses.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I need to expense this.
All right. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happened in the past week. There was Out of Spec put up a new video where Kyle Connor was doing a little rant about a bad trend that he has seen recently.
A little. It's 11 minutes. It doesn't seem like a little rant at all.
Well, for him, 11 minutes is a short.
Like a little
he often
rant's
does like 2-hour videos. So
wow. Apparently, I don't listen to Out of Spec very often.
But his complaint is about EVs that have adopted NACS ports, but still have J1772 ports for AC charging. So they're only using the NACS for DC charging.
Mm-hmm. Like the Nissan Leaf comes to mind.
Yeah, the Leaf was the first one to do that. What
but
Nissan
at least it's not a CHAdeMO port.
Yeah, it's true. What Nissan explained last year was, the decision to go to NACS on that car was a late decision, and they didn't have time to re-engineer all the AC charging stuff. Because for AC charging, you've got to have an onboard charger that converts the AC to DC for the battery. And so they left the J1772 port on the left front fender, added the NACS port for DC charging on the right front. I guess the early Mercedes CLAs, they've switched it now, but the early builds of the CLA also did this. They had a NACS and an AC port for a J1772 AC port, and now the Porsche Cayenne is doing this as well. So the new Cayenne EV has a DC only NACS port. And one of the things that Kyle explained in there is, I guess there's a module that's required with the NACS port to do the conversion for AC charging. And there's been a shortage of these. There's a supply chain shortage of these modules. And so some manufacturers, not being able to get enough of them, they've decided to just do the 2-port solution, which hopefully that won't last very long. Hopefully they'll get away from that.
A Band-Aid
solution.
You need...
It's like they just don't have them in Germany?
Well, Hyundai probably makes their own. Hyundai Mobis probably makes them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they've got Mobis that makes all kinds of parts, so they're probably doing their own.
But it's such a Band-Aid solution to have the 2 ports. Like, all this extra complexity for nothing. And then they put them under 2 separate charging doors on the Porsche here, and the Leaf as well. I would try to figure out a way of sticking them in the same spot so you don't have to remember which side is which.
Mercedes actually had both of them side by side in the same port.
Left, right,
that makes sense.
Left, right, left, right. Every time you pull
the
up
CLA, I think, was on the left rear corner. And the Cayenne has the NACS port on the left rear and the AC port on the right rear.
Yeah, and I prefer my ports on the front. At least the front fender. The grille is preferable in my opinion, but y'all do you.
I'm trying to look at dash photos of the Cayenne. Can you see the? That's not what I want. Does it tell you one's on one side and the other's on the other side?
I don't know.
The little arrow. If you get in your car, if it's a gas car, there's a little SAE standard.
Yeah.
So when you get in your car,
even
there's
on
a little
EVs,
arrow that tells you what side. Well, not all EVs.
Our EV6 has that.
Your EV6 has it, but like some EVs don't have it. I forget what EV I was in. I think the Subaru didn't have it. It doesn't have the little arrow because I was like figuring out it might have been there. Anyway, I was trying to wait, how do I pull into my driveway in order to charge this? Because I have to swap cars, and I was like, wait, I had to get out and look. So not all EVs have the little arrows, but like on the Cayenne, does it have an arrow that says AC and an arrow that says DC?
I do not know.
That's a good question.
And would the average person know the difference? They just know fast and...
They would not. They take their Chevy Bolts to the 350 kilowatt charger. They don't know.
Yeah. Well, at least the new Bolts, have 150 kilowatt charging.
Yes. So. Not like 55 for the old version, which is just no.
I wrote a whole thing about that.
You don't have AC charging at home. you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I wrote a whole thing about that, why it's important to know the charge rate of your vehicle. And but more and more charging stations only have 350, so it's fine at this point. But at the time,
yeah, I mean it's fine if they're all 350s. But like when this Electrify America station near me here first opened up, they had 6 chargers and only 2 of them were 350s, and the others were all 150s. And you used that one on numerous occasions, haven't you, Craig?
Yeah, back when we were at EV Pulse doing a bunch of charging tests. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was the only one that had in the region basically that had 3. I shouldn't say region, but it was reliable enough and had 350 kilowatts, so we could really max out whatever we were testing. And
well, since then, the chargers at that station have been replaced twice.
Oh, nice.
And so they're now all 350s.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of folks are in the area. I imagine like Car and Driver does testing out that way, and various supplier companies and OEMs are out there testing vehicles.
Quite a lot of people around here with EVs now. So
nice.
Let's see. China, as usual, is ahead of us on regulations. They've got some good regulations. We talked earlier this year about them announcing new rules for door handles that go into effect January 1st. So no more hidden door handles on new vehicles launching after January 1st of 2027. And now they have done a recall for several million vehicles that are already out on the road because the mechanical backup latches on the interior of the car are too hard to find. Back a year and a half ago, when there was a crash with a Xiaomi SU7 that killed 3 young women because they couldn't get out of the vehicle. Xiaomi made a change. They painted the mechanical backup latch red so you can easily see it. And now there's a recall for a whole bunch of other vehicles that require them to change the mechanical latches so they're easier to find. They're not hidden. And this is going to affect 3 million Teslas that are on the road in China. They're going to have to recall, plus many hundreds of thousands or a million or more other vehicles as well.
Yeah, I don't understand the advantage of these e-latches. I get it, they're kind of cool, but you're building 2 separate door handles then. You have the whole e-latch assembly, and then you need the redundant safety system that is the mechanical latch. So why?
I've had this discussion with Rivian a couple of times now and still have not gotten a good answer from them.
It's clever for the sake of clever. Look what this can do. Ooh, you're like, no. Yeah. No one should ever have to explain how a door handle works in a car. That's never should. Whenever a passenger gets into a car, I shouldn't have to explain how to get in the car and how to get out of the car. That's not a conversation we should be having.
Right? Exactly.
It's like it would be like trying to explain, we have a different weird seatbelt set up in this car. Like, what?
Yes.
Yes, if you want to plug in your seatbelt, there's a little button you have to push, and electronically the seatbelt comes out, and then you plug it in, and then it goes back into an area where you can't get to it. That's essentially what they're building with these cars.
Yesterday we went out in the XM, and there was one slight complaint that my wife had, that the seatbelt latch was down too low. And she was having a hard time actually getting the thing in there. It wasn't sticking up far enough. What's wrong, Morty?
Oh no! You heard about
sitting under my table situation. And he just jumped up. So hopefully we'll start to see stuff like this happening here. I'm not holding my breath, but at least because the Chinese are requiring it. Other manufacturers are having to make changes to their designs that they sell globally. So at least we'll hopefully start seeing some of these cars changing in the next couple of years. All right, let's see. Okay, last week Genesis had an event in California that I don't think any of us were invited to, unfortunately.
I went to it. It was near my house.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us about the GV90.
I've been filing magazine pages for the last couple of days, so I haven't had a chance to push. And also, I didn't get to go to the actual unveiling because I had band practice.
Oh.
But I went to the tech day like the next day. So so the GV90, it's their big, sort of Cullinan competitor, I suppose, is what you want to call it. It's got the swivel seats so you can turn around that I'm pretty sure aren't legal in the United States anyway, but they're really fun. You can turn it and it has the, I guess they're called the coach doors. People of my age and older probably call them suicide doors. And because if you try to, put them in your car afterwards, you want to kill yourself. But what's interesting is it doesn't have a B pillar. So they're coach doors without a B pillar. And what they've done is they've reinforced they call it an arch. So they've reinforced this area around it. Plus they've essentially put the B pillar into the rear door. So that, it's still, if you hit it, you'll still get all the protection, Genesis says you'll still get all the protection. I haven't seen them smash one into anything yet. They did have some data. They're like, the ingress of smashing it was actually lower than other vehicles. So they've done some very clever engineering in order to sort of recreate a B pillar within the door. And they're just like these really honking huge latches for the doors when they close, but you can open the front or the back door independent of one another. So like if you had
the door kind of slides back before it.
It's kind of like a minivan sliding door. Goes back a little bit and then
I'm trying to find something on my desk. That's as large as the part. It's probably this big.
The hinge?
For the hinge.
The hinge.
And it sort of slides and then it moves and it's cast iron, like the meatiest part of it. And then the rest of it is aluminum. So it's like when you watch it, you're like, oh, it's actually a pretty cool the way they've done it. And they've done a lot of work on it. And later on with Luke, I forget how to say his last name.
Vodka.
Exactly. You both said it differently. So someone asked him like, "Oh, will we see this coach doors in other cars?" It's like, no, it's so hard. And essentially, it was just like it was so hard, and everything else is going to be smaller than this because this is a big vehicle. Yeah. It's so hard to do that it's not really worth the money to do it. Like this is a big halo car. The idea is to sell it to very fancy people, and it's very comfortable inside. The seats are really nice. It is Genesis like really punching up like a lot. And when you get in a Genesis, you're like, wow, this is a really nice car. This and most people don't know Genesis is a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like Mitsubishi.
Yeah, it's like Mitsubishi. Except Genesis
Luxury Mitsubishi.
Except Genesis, I think, sells more cars than Mitsubishi does.
Oh, everyone
probably
sells. If I were building cars in my backyard, I'd probably be building more cars than Mitsubishi. So it's very impressive. The back end, I thought it looked like a 60s, like a bus. It has that little, like very almost Art Deco look.
Like a bus. Okay.
I think somebody told me it looks like the back of so you have to see the rear end by itself. Someone said it looks like the back of a London taxi.
Yeah.
And then I think the only thing people kind of were like is the fact that it has a rear windshield wiper, but there's nowhere for it to hide, so it just sort of sticks out. That's sort of the big thing.
Yeah, because there's no spoiler on the tailgate or anything.
Yeah, there's no spoiler or anything. It just sort of sticks out. The front end has that long light bar, those two light bars, and it looks like a string of diamonds. It's actually really, that little V.
It
looks like a string of diamonds, especially in real life. Overall, I mean, this is the regular one. This is the one with just the regular doors, not the crazy coach doors.
Well, that's a question I had for both of you. I love the rear hinged coach doors because it's different. It really makes a statement. It helps this vehicle stand out. But you've now got to do two different body side aperture stampings to do that, right? Like that's probably the single biggest piece of metal on the car is the side piece, because that's where your doors hang, your fenders mount, the crash structure is integral. How much money are they spending to have two completely different doors on this, what I would assume is a low-volume vehicle?
It's possible that you could do the same aperture and engineer it in a way that then because the B pillar is going to be welded in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the external part of it, you could have that as a common stamping between the two, and then on most of them you weld in the B pillar. On the others you put in the hooks for the coach doors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's the rear view of the GV90.
That wiper just hanging out, chilling there.
Because you have no spoiler. There's nowhere to hide it. So that's.
I'm gonna send you a picture in the chat, Sam, to share with the peeps. Of the this fish is what? I can't send you a chat. There it goes. Can I send you a picture?
Should be able to.
Like you were saying, technology getting harder to use.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not letting me send the photo. I'll text it to you real quick, Sam.
Okay.
So I took a picture of the giant hinge, and it is. I took a couple of pictures. This is probably the best one.
And it's cast iron, literally cast iron. You said.
Yeah, that surprised me. I didn't see that mentioned anywhere.
Oh, here's Tommy and I.
It needs to be strong.
Here's Tommy, Micah, and I from TFL sitting in it across from one another. He's doing his job, and I'm just sitting there.
Let's see.
He's Roman Micah's son. He's always on the job. They're workaholics.
They are. It's just delightful people, though. Just absolutely.
The
GV90 has some other very interesting features. It's a head-up display only for the instrument cluster, right?
Yeah, there's no.
You look at photos of it.
There's no regular instrument cluster. It's head display
it's head-up only. Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, because most they're like, oh, it'll work with your, polarized sunglasses. I wear polarized sunglasses. I have very sensitive eyes because I'm a fancy man.
Me too.
And so when I'm driving,
because I'm fancy.
I wear sunglasses, and so I'll turn my head to see if the thing's on. So it'll be interesting. Like some of them are they've set it up so you can still sort of mostly see it, but a couple are just like, this is okay, fine. But the inside of the vehicle is very comfortable. The third row, you're fighting with
nice
so many
use of color.
So many different, the colors are really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of peculiar things about the inside. Like, you've got this big giant screen that actually rises up out of the dashboard.
But it goes down when you're driving.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, I was going to say, because I saw this photo, I'm like, that looks a bit distracting.
Yeah, that's a lot of screen. But that's only when you're parked.
Gotcha. That makes a hell of a lot more sense.
And then there's the shift lever, which is when the vehicle is off, it stands up vertically from the steering column. And then I guess when you put your foot on the brake pedal, it rotates around clockwise into the typical position, down to about the close to 3 o'clock position. And then you can shift into park and reverse and drive.
That's crazy.
I don't know why.
That's insane. Cool, but insane.
Yeah.
Also, Robbie, I read it has wood veneer floors. Oh, there's the hinge. Yeah.
They're not messing around.
Yeah, that's a serious hinge.
You can see how it slides. If you look at the back, so it slides. So when the door opens, it sort of pops out, slides, and then opens. And then when it closes, it closes and then slides back into place.
Yeah, because the BMW i3, the original i3, and also some pickup trucks that had rear hinged, and also the Mazda RX-8, they had rear hinged kind of half doors for the back, and for all of those, you can't open them without opening the front doors. You have to open the front doors before you can open the rear doors. So this allows you to open the rear doors without opening the fronts.
Same with the Mazda. What was it? The
RX-8
the EV. Well, the EV.
Yeah, the MX-30.
That one. That was so bad they got rid of it. Yes.
There's Robbie and Tommy. Tommy
So I'm
Micah.
I'm 6'3", and Tommy, I'm assuming, is shorter than me.
He's about 6 foot, I think.
Yeah. So, but this is what it's like if you're tall and you're sitting across from each other, having
It's
like
very
a nice,
intimate.
having a nice picnic.
But you can only rotate the seats when the car's parked, so you can't.
Yeah, you can't do this. Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not interested.
He's like,
I want to be able to have a conference when I'm driving. Also, did I read it correctly? There's wood veneer floors, and they have the Korean heating system they find in traditional homes.
Radiant
heating.
So radiant floor heating.
That right there is worth the price of admission, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. Radiant heating is so awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I missed the most about from the time I spent in Sweden, in northern Sweden, back in the 90s during winter testing. The place we stayed always had radiant heated floors. And, a lot of people up there had that. Yeah. And it was so nice to be able to walk around on this nice warm floors.
And probably quite an efficient way of doing it, too.
Yeah. So the GV90's got, I think, was it 124 kilowatt hour battery pack, 123, 124.
Yeah, it's like one,
and it's going to be about 300-ish miles of range.
That's good.
123 and a half kilowatt hours. There we go. It's got it's dual motor with electronic limited slip differentials at both axles, air suspension, new power control, the OLED cinematic display.
The usual suspects.
Yeah. Did they give you any hints as to how much this thing's going to cost?
They did not, but I pushed them because they're like at 150, 350 kilowatt hour charger, it'll charge it, in this fast at this fast. So I asked them, like, what is the charge rate? What is the kilowatts? And they told me 350. I'm like, and I double checked them all. That's the charge rate of the vehicle. And then I did some math with the 10 to 80% at 123 or 123.5 kilowatts. They say 22 minutes at that size. I'm like, yeah, the math checks out.
Yeah.
They're usually not going to lie to you, the Hyundai Motor Group.
Yeah, they're not going to, but you have to like really push them for, especially Kia and Genesis. I think Hyundai's gotten like the memo. Because I remember the first time a bunch of us asked, well, what's the charge rate? And they were all like, what do you mean? Why do you care? And we're like, no, that's an important piece of information. And they afterwards, like one of the PR people came up to me like, is that a number people care about? I'm like, yes. Yeah. It's a big number people care about, especially people who are a bunch of...
Functionally, they shouldn't, because all that matters is the time. How long am I going to have to sit here? But you need to know what charger you can use and should use in order to get that.
That's why you need to know.
That's why.
That's why.
I mean, if all the chargers were 400 kilowatts, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
You wouldn't care.
Yeah. No,
megawatt chargers. That's what we need.
Megawatts. It's efficiency. Oh, I did some math while I was there. The efficiency is 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Oh, it's got a roof airbag.
Yeah.
They're like really, and they just kept rolling this thing in order to test it like in different ways. Because they're like,
well, if you don't have a B-pillar, you have to put the airbag somewhere.
Well, they were saying that a lot of people, because of glass roofs, they get thrown from the vehicle, or all this glass starts raining down on you because you got a glass roof. So this airbag, it starts from the back, and there's like wires along the sides, and it just deploys back to front and covers the whole top of the vehicle. Okay. So if you roll over, you're not going to get tossed out, and if you get,
but it's safer to be thrown clear in a wreck. We all know that.
Yeah, everyone's dad in the '80s was. I'd rather be thrown clear. I'm like, what are you talking about? Thrown clear once.
I may have mentioned this on a previous episode. I have a 1936 Ford V8, and I like to macabrely joke that the only safety feature it has is safety glass, so that you can have an open casket funeral. Because you won't be torn to ribbons by shards of glass.
You'll look nice, though.
Yeah. Less work for the mortician.
Yeah. So they had that. What else have we got here? No, it was a very pretty car. I liked the way it looked, even with the weird back end. That I actually liked. I thought just because it's different from everything else. Very Art Deco, I think, especially with the diamond. Again, it looks like a string of sparkly diamonds versus like just that long LED strip that you see on everything else. This has some character to it, some texture, which I enjoy. Yeah, and again, I think they're like, we built this, we did it once. don't ask us to ever do it again.
I also appreciate the clean looks.
It's
Audi, BMW have lost their minds as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
This is very elegant.
Yes, it's very.
Did they give you any kind of demo of the new Plios infotainment system?
Nah, it was kind of it's a pre-production car at an event, and we're all spinning the thing around. We're trying to spin the seats. We were trying to get the third row thing to go up, and like they had to come and keep resetting it, so it wasn't really like, ooh, let me try this out. Not really. So, yeah, we'll
Plios is going to be coming on all the new Hyundais, Kias, and Genesis models going forward. So
they have their own in-house AI, which is like everyone else is using ChatGPT, and Hyundai's like, nah, we got our own. We don't need that.
Yeah, we're good.
Like, reminder, Hyundai owns like half of Korea.
Yeah.
Like
literally.
if you live anywhere near a port, go out to the port. Like half the stuff out there has Hyundai written on it.
Mm-hmm. Or
on the freeway,
as you're driving down the road.
trucks.
Yeah, look at the trailers being towed by tractor trailers, and there's better than even chance that it's going to say Hyundai on the trailer. They make the trailers, they make ships, they make buildings, they have mines, they do everything.
It's like Honda,
Literally.
but like bigger.
Yeah,
Like
much bigger.
Like Honda has a lot of things that they make, but they're all sort of like regular human size. Hyundai's like, we make these cars and then giant things.
Yeah.
Is it called a chaebol? Something like
I'm not sure how it's pronounced, chaebol or kaibol, K-ball.
Oh, it's got a teeny tiny frunk. Frunk
So it's like every other Hyundai Motor Group EV then.
Yeah, the frunk is not.
What about the architecture? Is it a new one? Because it was not eGMP.
Yeah.
It was like
It's It's like EMP or something. Hold on.
Yeah, something like that.
It's got
EMP.
It's the first EMO. No, it must be EMP. It's I must have misplaced it. So it's it's a new. Yeah, it's EMP. I didn't even change that. I'm like, EMO. That's not right. It's a new platform. This is the first vehicle on this platform. It's specifically for Genesis. This is likely why it charges at 350 kilowatts versus a lot of everything else in the eGMP the GMP, which is a funny less weird thing that is like 250, like kind of sort of tops out. It's going to be built in Korea at the Ulsan plant. It's very unlikely this will ever be built at the Meta plant because it's just a small run.
Yeah, there's very low volume.
Are they going to use this updated platform just for Genesis, or is it going to filter through to the other two brands as well?
I think it's probably what they'll probably do is they'll use it for Genesis, and then like everything they learn off this will just end up in either they'll just drop it into the other platform so they can say, oh, we have two, like Audi and Volkswagen.
Yeah.
But they'll actually migrate it down. Or maybe they'll just move everything to that platform. But I feel like they kind of want to keep it separate, but put all the bits that they can afford to put into Hyundais and Kias.
So is there like a button on the dash that you can press that will fry all of the electronic devices around you?
For the EMP? I hope so. It's like, haha, no one's taking it.
It's like small thermonuclear explosions just above the vehicle that will zap everything.
Boom. That's what it makes that sound. It's a boom.
Yeah.
That's the official movie sound of like some sort of sonic wave that breaks everything. Boom. Boom.
All right. Anything else on the GV90?
I'm looking. 360, 123.
Kudos to them for being adventurous and doing something that's I'd say classically beautiful and has a unique door configuration.
That's the thing.
That's so refreshing.
It's not like we did this crazy thing and now it looks like it's, an angry car in an alley that's going to, shank you for your lunch money. It's like we did this amazing thing and here's this beautiful car that looks like it's wearing an elegant dress. It's very, They talked a little bit about Marilyn Monroe. I'm not sure what all that was about. I just sort of tuned that part out because it seems like a very weird thing. I was like, okay. I feel like the last people who really were excited about Marilyn Monroe was Gen X, and everyone after that doesn't care.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. So during that tech day, did they also talk about the GV80 hybrid?
No, it was all EV.
All right.
It was all GV90 all the time.
Okay. Well, Genesis is also launching a GV80 hybrid, which should be arriving like in the next few weeks.
That's good.
And it's using the next generation Hyundai hybrid system, which launched on the Telluride and the Palisade. So it looks just like like all the other GV80s, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
But
it's a great vehicle.
Yeah, because the GV80 is based on a longitudinal engine drivetrain, so it's a rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive configuration, whereas the Telluride and the Palisade are transverse engines.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same architecture as those vehicles, but obviously repackaged into a rear-wheel drive transmission. So the original Hyundai hybrid system was kind of an oddball. Where it's got a motor in the transmission. There's a clutch between the engine and the motor, and then there's a belted starter generator that handles the starting and stopping of the engine and a little bit of regen from that, and then and it also provides the power for the vehicle, the 12-volt power for the vehicle. Now they've gotten rid of the P0, the belted starter generator, added a second motor that's attached to the back end of the crankshaft of the engine, and the clutch sits between the two motors. So the P1 motor that's attached to the engine does the engine stop-start, power generation. It can operate when the clutch is open. It can operate as essentially a series hybrid. When the clutch closes, the engine and both motors can propel the vehicle, and it's a more efficient system, and it's also tighter packaging, at least on the transverse version of it. So they're putting this into the GV80 with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo, just like they have in the Palisade and the Telluride, 347 horsepower, which slots it in between the base 2.5 turbo, which is 300 horsepower in the GV80, and the 375 horsepower twin turbo V6. So this should be I think this should be a nice combination.
So the question I have is this is like Honda's two-motor hybrid system, which is also very similar to what we tested in the Outlander PHEV. Those systems have two electric motors and no transmission. So there's the one electric motor that starts the gasoline engine, and it operates as a generator.
Right.
And then there's the other electric motor that can power the vehicle. And then at certain speeds, typically, I don't know, it sounds like around 55 miles per hour for the Mitsubishi, there's a one-way, I guess it's just a sprag clutch. I don't think it's like an actual lockup clutch, that allows the engine to then directly drive the wheels at higher speeds where the combustion engine is more efficient. But this is including a step ratio transmission. It sounds like it's a very similar series parallel hybrid system with a gearbox. So what's the purpose of the transmission?
Yeah, 6-speed automatic transmission, fairly conventional 6-speed automatic. And the other thing is the motor power in here is not as proportionally is not as high as what you get in the Honda hybrid system. So the Honda hybrid, is 200 horsepower total, 181 horsepower of that comes from the electric motor. So it actually does most of the driving in series mode. And then can, when at higher speeds, it will engage the clutch and also send some engine torque to the wheels. Most of the time, it's basically operating as a series hybrid. This is going to be less of the series hybrid type of operation and more of a parallel. So, if there's a continuum from pure parallel to pure series, like the e-Power, like the Nissan e-Power, and then something in between, the Honda is closer to e-Power. This would be closer to just a straight up parallel hybrid.
Because with the Toyota hybrid system, the standard one, they have a bunch of different variations. Or the version that Ford uses in its, front drive based vehicles, it's the same system basically. There's There's also technically no transmission, but there also is the power split device, they call it, the
which is planetary a planetary gear set.
Which functions as a transmission.
Yeah, so. it's a variable transmission.
It's a gear set. I'm like, that's not just a level word. It's got multiple gear. Wait, hold on.
Well, that's why Honda or Toyota does call it an eCVT.
Mm-hmm.
And so does Ford.
I mean, it's an absolutely brilliant design when you understand how it works. It's so clever how they figured that out.
Yeah, because for a planetary gear set, you get three elements of the gear set. You've got the ring gear, which has teeth on the inside. You've got a sun gear in the middle, which has teeth on the outside. And then you've got a carrier with planet gears that's in between those. And in order for a planetary gear set to function, you have to drive one of those three elements, and one of them has to be grounded, has to be locked to ground. So one has to be held still. Yep. And so depending on which ones you hold, which ones you ground, and which one you're driving, you can get up to three different gear ratios, one of which would be a reverse gear. And with the way, and normally in most automatic transmissions, it's just using a clutch to physically lock one of those elements to the transmission casing. With the eCVT system on the Honda or the Toyota and the Ford hybrids, they're actually using the secondary motor as a variable ground. So depending on how much power they send to it,
right?
Yeah. But depending on how much power electricity they send to it, it will allow whatever element is being controlled to either not spin or spin at different rates to get variable gearing, which is it's a really strange design to think about.
Yeah, but it works. It's super clever. The engine, the combustion engine, if I recall, is spinning the planet carrier. Then there's that motor generator one of the motor generators.
The motor generator
spinning
2.
the annulus of the outer the carrier gear, basically. Yeah. So that's how the faster you spin that motor, the faster the carrier the ring gear spins. It changes the ratio then. And reverse is handled purely electrically because there's no way to do that backwards because you'd have to start the engine backwards then.
Yeah.
So any reverse is handled with the electric motor. But then how does it handle shutting the motor off? Because the motor generator 2 is still connected to the planetary gear set, is it? Or is that just driving through the differential?
I think that there's actually a clutch in there that decouples it.
Okay.
So it decouples the entire assembly from, so you can go to electric mode.
Yeah.
This is why whenever I talk to automakers, I'm like, do you have an animation of your whatever crazy new thing you have so I can show people? And they're like, what? And sometimes an engineer will be like, yeah, come here. And they'll tell me some weird long URL that's like no one else has access to. They're like, we have it on our special like da. Yeah. And then I'll find it and I'll put it in a
I mean, it's often hard enough just getting a basic diagram like this one. Most of the time they won't even show you this, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so like Mercedes, the Mercedes engineers, they love showing me the super dark web that they keep all that stuff on. I'm like, I just need a video or an animation of this thing in motion. They're like, oh, they get all very...
Roberto, can you do file sharing with FTP site, please?
I'm like, yes.
Or we can do BitTorrent. I can send you this link where you can find the diagrams.
Yeah. No, they're very excited to share it. Because I asked other people, they were like, what? No, we don't have that. And then I just go to the engineers and they're like, yes.
I'm going to include a link in the show notes to Engineering Explained did a great video. He has a mock-up of an eCVT system, the planetary gear eCVT system, and he walks through. Jason Fensky walks through how the whole thing works and goes through all the different modes. And so I will include a link in the show notes for that. And if you're at all interested in understanding how a Toyota hybrid or Ford hybrid system works, watch this video. It's really fascinating. All right, let's carry on. So let's see. Oh, Hyundai also had some other news this week, which, strangely enough, has not been posted on any of their media sites anywhere globally, but they give the information to a whole bunch of outlets. And it's the 2027 Hyundai Tucson, which is a full redesign. And it's a couple inches longer, it's a couple inches longer than before. And it's a totally different look from the current generation. But one thing that I noticed when I looked at it the first time, is that this is, it picks up an important design element from the Boulder concept that we saw at the New York Auto Show. The fenders are just like the Boulder concept. So big, kind of boxy fenders.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it doesn't look like the Boulder, because it doesn't have that boxy look, like the, Bronco Wrangler kind of look of the rest of the Boulder concept. But it does have the same fenders from that. So that's probably a look we're going to be seeing on some other Hyundai trucks and SUVs over the next couple of years.
Very angular, very boxy,
Mm-hmm.
very not going to age well, in my opinion. But
we'll see.
Interior is lovely, though.
I like the interior. I like small dash clusters, because if you give someone, if you give somebody like a 12.6-inch dash cluster, they're gonna fill it with so much stuff. This is just a nice little string of information across the top. It's almost where, a heads-up display would be. Like, you don't have, it's just, hey, how fast are you going? Hey, what's the speed limit? Hey, how much range do you got?
It's almost like the Neue Class kind of setup, which is actually a heads-up display, but it doesn't span the entire width of the dash.
Yeah.
Or the entire base of the windshield.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And you can see there's a lot of buttons on there. There probably should be more in the car, but, whatever.
But
it's a giant screen too.
Yeah, it's I think a 15.5-inch center screen. But at least it does have a row of buttons across the bottom, physical buttons, and manual vents. Manual vents, always a good thing.
That's Sam's biggest thing, manual vents.
Yep, not buying any car with software controlled vents.
No.
Sam, I don't know if you saw, I sent the rundown for the Green Cars podcast.
I saw it. I haven't
read
recording
through it in a couple days. I put it in sort of the pleasantries section at the beginning of the show. I put in a little line. What's grinding your gears these days, Sam? This is something different. So maybe you can talk about digital air vents over there.
Definitely.
That's a terrible side. Have I offended Robbie? Or
it's just the worst. They just don't make any sense. They don't, why? Why?
I know it's adding more complexity that doesn't need to be there.
And because it's become a conversation that we have again and again, I realize I am now very conscious of how often I'm adjusting the vents in cars. When I'm like, I get in the car, I want to be cold. So I turn all the vents towards me. Now my hands are freezing once we've gotten going. So now I want a more ambient code as opposed to freeze. So I'm like moving the vents pretty often. And then it's like, hold on, let me go in here and push this. Let me push the buttons. No, because I'm taking my eyes off the road, so it's a safety issue. And then
what if we had an analog version of digital air vents where it was all mechanical, done through like a Bowden cable system, and you had a little joystick? And you could have them all in one spot.
So the Maybach has both. You can do it by hand, but you can also do it in the. So
there you go.
So yeah.
I want the most complicated and heavy system. I want
like a series of pulleys that have to pull from the roof.
Yes.
Like
organ stops too, just in case. Add some extra complexity.
Like steam comes out.
Yeah. They have incorporated a boiler just for the steam effect. Yes.
All right. Let's move on.
Sam's like, I'm done with these guys. This is too stupid.
No, I totally agree with it, but I think listeners might be getting tired of this rant.
I don't think that's true.
So Cadillac, Cadillac's had the XT5 here for like a decade now, almost a decade, and they also make the XT5 in China, but they have just launched an updated version of the XT5 in China that is a plug-in hybrid. And so the XT5 is like the third in a line of midsize crossovers that Cadillac's been building. It started with the SRX. So they had 2 generations of the SRX, and then they changed their, back when Johann de Nysschen was running Cadillac, they decided, we have to change the naming convention for all our vehicles. And so they went to CTs for the sedans and XTs for the SUVs.
Which annoys me more than digital air vents, just alphanumeric names. But I digress. Sorry.
Back in 2010, 2011, the engineers at GM were actively developing a plug-in hybrid version of the SRX, the second generation SRX. And what it was that, they actually in 2008, Saturn was supposed to launch a plug-in hybrid version of the Saturn Vue. That was one of the last things I worked on when I was still an engineer at TRW. And so they were working on a plug-in hybrid version of the Saturn Vue. When we had the financial meltdown, whole Saturn brand was canceled. They took all the stuff from the Vue plug-in hybrid, dropped it into the SRX. Well, actually, first they created a rebadged version that was going to be a Buick, and they announced that in the summer of 2009. And then, 3 weeks later, they canceled that and said, "No, we're not going to do that after all." And then they put it into the SRX. And so they were working on this, and it was supposed to launch as a 2012 model, or 2011, 2013 model. Sorry, in 2012 as a 2013 model. And when Dan Ackerson became CEO of GM, he took a look at all the product plans and said, "Nope, okay, you can do that. Nope." And 2 of the programs he canceled were the Cross Volt, a crossover version of the Chevy Volt, using the same Volt powertrain, and the SRX plug-in hybrid. So it never got produced. But now there's finally an XT5 plug-in hybrid, but only in China. We can't have it.
Spiritual successor.
So I just looked up China car sales in China.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what's down 20%? 21%. PHEVs. Battery electric vehicles are up 6%. I'm just like, like everything with a gas engine is down. But 21% going into that's from July of 2026 versus year over year from July 2025. So bringing a PHEV into China right now. Oops.
I mean, do you expect GM to do anything else?
No.
Ready, fire, aim.
But this is supposed to have 97 miles of electric driving range.
Nice.
That's
very
good.
Nice. That's a good one. I mean, that's common in China, as we've learned.
Yeah. It's a 35 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's got 5C charging, so that means that it can charge at 5 times the rate that the battery discharges power.
Describe what that means, because when I first saw that, I was like, huh? C charging? It's Coulomb or something, right? Am I saying that right? It's some metric engineering term, right?
I think.
What is it?
Basically, what it means is, if you have...
I tried to research it and I couldn't figure it out.
If you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it takes 1 hour to charge that, and you can discharge, and the discharge rate of that is 1 hour, that is 1C. So if you have that 100 kilowatt hour battery pack that you can discharge in 1 hour, maximum discharges in 1 hour, 5C means that it can charge at 5 times the rate that it can discharge.
So 20 minutes.
So yeah, or actually 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
So 5C is very fast. And it's actually pretty common in China now.
Yeah.
The most we have here is about 2.5 to 3C. So stuff like the Hyundais and Kias, they're about 2.6, 2.7 C.
Yeah.
Stuff like the Lucids.
We're halfway there,
3C.
guys.
Woo! We're number Well, we're trying. Yes.
No, we're not even really doing that.
So what is the point of that? Why is that a significant relationship then? Wouldn't customers just care about how long they have to plug in? Why does it matter the ratio of charge versus discharge? What makes that significant?
So that gives you an indication of charging rate versus the performance, the maximum performance, maximum power you can get out of the battery.
Gotcha. So a more performance-oriented vehicle will have a higher C than something
not
more
necessarily.
Everyday.
You could have a high power discharge rate, and if it's slow charging, it'd be a low C.
Okay.
So it's kind of, there's a reason why they don't usually use that here, because it's kind of convoluted to understand. It's back to what you're saying earlier. People just want to know how long is it going to take to charge. So for this thing, it would potentially be charging, 35 kilowatt hour battery, probably going to charge, in about, on a DC fast charger, about 5 to 7 minutes.
Maths.
Yeah.
Were you good at maths?
Me?
Yes.
I wasn't even good at school. They kicked me out.
Oh.
I have
okay. I was not good at math.
I have art degrees. I don't know what I'm even doing here. To be honest.
Same, basically.
One other thing, I don't know if you noticed on the picture of this car, there's a little thingy on top of the windshield.
LiDAR?
It's got LiDAR.
Nice.
So this is the first. They're saying it's the first luxury SUV with Momenta's R7 ADAS system, which doesn't mean it's the first vehicle to have that. But Momenta is a Chinese company that makes ADAS and automated driving systems. So it's this is going to be a what they call level 2++. So it'll be able to do hands-free driving, on highways, city streets, everywhere. It's got LiDAR, radar, and cameras. And it says, the Momenta data covers more than 15 billion kilometers of roads from their world model, for their AI model.
Nice.
So you can drive it anywhere.
Pretty much.
And that's full hands-free?
It should be,
Level 2 plus, you said?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pluses.
Yeah. They're not saying if it's going to be level. The Momenta says, their R7 system can support up to level 4, which would be, fully automated.
Yeah.
But their GM hasn't really given much detail on exactly what functionality is going to be on the XT5. But there is supposed to be a refresh of the XT5 for North America for 2028, I think. So we'll probably get the updated styling that's on this one, but I don't know if we'll get any of the good stuff like the plug-in hybrid or the.
We can't have nice things. No.
We can't have nice things in America.
It's not allowed.
Because freedom.
Yeah.
Basically.
Let's see. So recently in my neighborhood, there was a rash of thefts from cars. A couple of guys apparently were going around, going from driveway to driveway, looking for cars that were unlocked. And it seems like they also had a little device that can be used for a relay attack. Because one of my neighbors had a couple of cars parked in their driveway that were locked, but these guys got into them and apparently, probably used one of these relay devices. Because the way your wireless key systems work is your car is transmitting a signal. It has a longer range for the transmission, and it's a handshake signal for your key fob. Your key fob only has a very short range. So the intent is that when it sees the signal from the car, it can communicate back and say, "Hey, yep, we can unlock the car," but only when it's within range of the key fob. And so the way these relay attacks work is if somebody's got a device that you can build for under $100. You can stand by the side of a building, and if the keys are near the door, for example, you can pick up the signal from the keys, relay it back to the car, unlock the car, and in some cases even start the car. And so a bunch of cars.
It's a signal booster is what it is. It boosts the signal of your vehicle so that your car thinks that the key is next to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, blip, blip, I'm open.
I mean, if you wanted to get into the car, just break a window, right? I'm old school.
Well, then you have an alarm and you have all this other stuff.
But everybody ignores them.
Yeah. And then your car, you're driving around a car with a broken thing, and you can't steal the car.
So these are very kind thieves.
If you just want to steal stuff, I mean, you break into the car. I want the backpack. I want the change in the thing. I want, someone left a laptop, whatever. But if you want to take the car and you want to be super sneaky,
which they did to one of these two cars that were in the driveway, because their daughter had left the valet key in her car, in her Subaru Forester. And so they, as they were rifling through the car looking for anything of value, they found the key sitting there. It's like, oh, okay, click.
Why
boom.
not?
We're out of here. But there is a way to overcome this problem of these relay attacks.
Yeah, right here. Metal keys.
Yeah.
Jingle bells.
Yeah. Or, you can just wrap your key fob in some aluminum foil or get a Faraday bag.
So I'm going to, before I was a car journalist.
Your thoughts on Faraday
Before
bags.
I was an automotive journalist, I was an InfoSec journalist, which means I dealt with hackers and security researchers and the whatnot. And I have gotten a couple Faraday bags over the years, and all of them, not that great. Don't really work. I've also gotten, what else? There's a lot of, those RF, like those wallets that are supposed to protect those don't really work either. And I learned this because I went and I talked to someone who actually builds those for the government. Now, that was a couple years ago. If you want to get one of these, it's super important that you make sure that you're looking at the reviews, because I would say most Faraday bags that are sold are BS. They're not going to do the thing that you think they're supposed to do. Like it's snake oil. But if you look at the reviews and it looks like it's a review that's not someone who reviews spams like a million other accounts and everything's great because they're trying to, what do you call it? Like a bot farm that just reviews 1,000 things on Amazon. Get it, try it out. If one of them works, go for it. It should be fine. But just be careful when you're buying Faraday bags, because again, most of them are junk. And whenever you see anything that says military grade, that's
definitely stay away from
that. Nothing in the world is that's not a thing. Like one of the things like, it's military grade like security. I'm like, that's not a thing.
But it's military grade aluminum in the F series.
Yeah, exactly. Military
People buy a lot of those.
Military grade doesn't mean anything. Military grade is a nothing word. It's a weasel word. It
Don't say
anything.
that to Mike Levine.
No.
You'll get very angry at you.
He can get mad at me. I don't care. I don't work for Ford. Not my job. Like military grade something. You're like, well, what do you mean aluminum what? A military grade aluminum tin cup? A military grade aluminum, like, where, how are you basing this? There are actual like numbers and things that you can, there are actual like structural integrity, like data points that you can share with people that aren't BS, like the word military grade. But also it's the same thing with Faraday bags. Anything that ever tells you it's unhackable, that's a lie. Nothing is unhackable. That is pure BS. Everything has some sort of vulnerability. But yeah, so if you're looking at Faraday bags, be wary of anything that says military grade. It might actually work even though it says military grade, but that word, that hyphenated word is meaningless.
Or, you could just take a piece of aluminum foil and wrap your keys fob in that.
Or put your keys in the back of your house. At one point, I remember BMW for a very brief second told me that the X5 key, if you put it down on its side, if it was sitting stationary, it was no longer accepting the ping from the vehicle. Oh. I don't know if they ever implemented this. This was like the X5 launch like 2 generations ago, because relay attacks had become like a thing at that point. They're like, oh no, hackers are breaking into cars. And so I don't know if they ever implemented it on the vehicle. I don't know if they went forward.
And BMW was one of the first brands to be found susceptible to that.
So they might have. Yeah. But they also might have like, maybe we shouldn't tell people, because then it shows that we were susceptible, or, So it's a relay attacks, because they can clone your key. is what happens. So they don't even need your key to drive the car like they do with if they have a better device. In addition to boosting it, when the key does the software handshake, it sends all this information, and the relay device will clone your key. And so now you have a key fob for that vehicle's key, and you just drive away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep your keys further away from your front door, or just buy a car that doesn't have, like Craig, buy a car with keys that you can make at Ace Hardware.
Well, irony of ironies. They're cloning the digital fobs. They failed to clone these. So I'm restoring a 51 Ford, and I'm going
you
through everything. You
shouldn't be showing us those on. You should blur out his keys.
Here, I'll just hold them over here.
There we go.
But the thing is, I'm going through everything, new electrical system, everything, new ignition. I bought a new ignition assembly, and it came with whatever weird key design it had. So I bought some original style. These are reproduction keys from the Shoebox Ford distributor, great company. They sent them to me. I took these to get cut at a local locksmith so they match the ignition. And the keys, being a knockoff, are just the guy cut them, and they don't actually work because the offset is wrong or something. So they'll slide in, but you still can't turn them.
You can't turn it. Oh.
So they'll stamp these incorrectly.
The beauty of an older car like that is you don't even really need the keys. You can just reach underneath and grab the wires and touch a couple of wires together.
Yeah, but you fry the points when you do that. Like, people don't think about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I know this because
you can't duplicate.
I lost the keys to my Datsun 2000 once, and so we had to hotwire it. And my dad's like, "Well, now you gotta go get some points because you just fried them."
How is it frying the points? It's just completing the circuit. It doesn't make sense.
It's like because you're frying because you're doing it longer.
You're getting
I
a
guess.
surge, more of a surge.
So instead of like
it's
like rah, it's going right out. Yeah.
Huh?
Or you could just do like my neighbor. They've got, in addition to the Ford Maverick hybrid, the XL hybrid, they have two C-Maxes, and one of them, on that night, apparently somebody did go into that car. It was left unlocked, but it didn't matter because there was nothing in it. And even if they had wanted to steal it, they might have gotten about 5 feet. Because I was trying to help them out the other day, trying to read fault codes. I took my adapter out there and was going to try and read the fault codes on it. And it would not stay running long enough it would connect, the adapter would connect to the phone, but it would not connect to it couldn't connect to the ECU because the engine kept dying after like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong. That's bad.
Oh, yeah. Even without, just from the sound that the hybrid drive unit in that thing was making, yeah, it's done.
The thief is going to break in and try to steal stuff and feel so bad for the car's in such a sorry state. They're going to leave a 20 on the seat.
They're going to lift the motor. They're going to lift the hood and start working on it. They're like, this is embarrassing.
I'm sorry. I thought this was a better neighborhood.
Yeah.
That car does have a lot of miles on it. So it's like 180,000 miles or something.
Okay. It's getting up there.
All right. Speaking of protecting stuff, the sun gives off a lot of ultraviolet radiation. That can cause problems, causes sunburns, cause skin cancer, and so you want to protect your stuff, protect yourself from UV radiation, and you want to protect the stuff that you've paid for. And, since we are, us as taxpayers are the ones that are paying for flock cameras, we want to provide proper protection for the flock cameras that are out there. For the license plate reader cameras. And so somebody has come up with a great device or a model, a 3D printed model for a flock sock that you can get and just stick it over your local flock camera and it will protect it from ultraviolet rays.
Boom.
So no more exposure to ultraviolet rays for your,
because those
for your
cameras
neighborhood
are
flock
expensive.
Cameras.
They're very expensive. And we're paying for them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I really
we
want them
should
to
run mass surveillance.
Don't not advocating that you should go out and cut down the poles with the flock cameras on them. That would be wrong. That would absolutely be wrong. You shouldn't be doing any other kind of damage. We are
Filling them with
being
spray
protective
foam.
by adding a flock sock to the camera.
You shouldn't spray paint them. You shouldn't shoot them with paintballs. You shouldn't
No.
You shouldn't shine
expanding foam. Don't use expanding foam on them.
Don't use expanding foam. You shouldn't use like high powered lasers on them because it'll destroy the sensors in them. Like there's a lot of things that these are expensive.
Apparently,
machines.
that's only true for blue lasers. Apparently, I was on Twit last night, and Father Robert was saying that the flock cameras do have cut filters for red and green lasers.
Red and green.
So red and green lasers will not damage flock cameras, but blue lasers will. So do not shoot a flock camera with a blue laser, please.
Yeah, they're super.
Again, you've paid for this. You don't want it to be damaged.
Remember when they put blue lights on every piece of tech? And it was the most annoying thing on the planet. Everyone's like, that is so bright. Blue is so incredibly bright. You don't think about it. But like 10, 15 years ago, every piece of tech had a blue light on it. And every piece of tech had got a piece of tape over that blue LED. Yep. So, yeah. Anyway.
And then
you were on with the digital friar. What does he call himself? Virtual Pedro or
the digital
friar.
Jesuit.
Father. That's it. Yeah, sorry. Not the virtual friar.
The virtual friar sounds cool. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
Your next band can be called that.
The next generation Mini Cooper apparently might be the first one that doesn't have front wheel drive. One of the things when Alec Asignosis initially designed the Mini back in 1959, 60. He did a transverse mounted engine, tiny,
front drive,
tiny little car, amazing packaging job on it. And every Mini since then has had a transverse mounted engine in the front or an electric motor in the front, and front wheel drive, and in some cases all wheel drive. But apparently the next gen Mini might switch to rear drive. Because they are apparently going to use the Neue Class hardware on there. And the Neue Class architecture is not set up for front-wheel drive.
Yeah. That's a fascinating
the proper
change
drive is rear-wheel drive.
Electric motors.
Yeah.
With electric motors, it's so easy it doesn't matter, and I don't think any Mini customer cares. They're actually getting an upgrade, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Might actually get it like a real frunk in there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. One last thing, or actually two more things. Apparently, there was a study done. Who did this study? There was a study done on fatal crashes between 2017 and 2022, and they found a 15% increase in traffic fatalities on the day of major album releases from artists like Taylor Swift, because people were listening to it over and over again and getting distracted. So if there's a big new album coming out, you might want to just stay home for a couple of days. Just stay home, listen to it at home. Don't go out on the roads, because somebody might run into you while they're being distracted by this music.
Well, what they're saying is that people are using their phones to like select this music, or they're spending too much time in the infotainment screen trying to select the music. You're like, oh, I want to listen to this song, so you have to click, tap, swipe, whatever to get to this song, and then you crash. It is worse than it used to be, but I will say that going through a CD case. In the 90s, not
true.
great.
Yep.
Just
so what? I would memorize where things were, like how many pages stuff like a CD was in, and then pull it out and then put it in the thing, because I didn't like the fact that I was looking away from the road, because I was such a nerd about driving and being a good driver. So that I can't do that anymore. But also, we only had like 100 CDs if you were lucky. Now you got the whole world, and then sometimes you're like, what I want to listen to. Yeah,
1,000 songs in your pocket.
I got 1,000 songs in.
And
my
I
pocket.
followed your link, Sam, and now I'm getting ads for Mirafast soft chew laxatives. So FYI, I have no idea why that's popping up.
I don't know. I have a pie hole running here, so I don't see any of that stuff. All right, last one is Jalopnik did another one of their listicles where they get readers to submit stuff. And this one was the top 10 George Barris custom-built cars that every gearhead should know. And, for those, the younger among you, George Barris was this guy who built all kinds of, shall we say, interesting custom cars from the 50s through about the 1980s. He's no longer with us, but during the 50s and 60s in particular, that was kind of his heyday. And it's funny, going through this list, 4 of the 10 cars on this list were actually used in 1960s sitcoms or TV shows. The 1962 Beverly Hillbillies truck, that was a George Barris creation. The Munsters coach, also a George Barris creation. The Dragula drag car was also used in the Munsters. He built that. And, of course, the classic 1966 Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
Fans of Rob Zombie would recognize the Dragula.
Yeah.
I can't sing it because I'm sick, so I can't I can't sound like Rob Zombie today. Sorry, everybody. Maybe next week.
And the Hirohata Mercury. Iconic
the Batmobile is one that probably everyone would recognize.
Yeah, the Batmobile.
So. Yeah. But the Mercury, they switched it out. A Cadillac V8. I don't know how I feel about that. Dropping the flathead. As a side valve enthusiast, not sure how I feel about that.
Oh, is that the first one? The 52?
Yeah.
Hirohata Merc?
Yeah. They replaced the original 255 cubic inch Mercury engine with a 331 Cadillac. This overhead valve fad is going to end soon. It's just they're overrated.
Yeah, it can't last forever.
It can't last forever. We're going back to flathead technology.
All right. Well, Craig, thank you so much for joining us again today.
My pleasure, Sam.
Sorry
this is a lot of fun.
Craig.
Well, it's okay. I just went with the one that they had at the key shop, the locksmith, and it doesn't say Ford and have the little crest on it, but it works. So these are going in the trash. I don't know why I still have them on my desk.
Oh, okay.
But no, this was a lot of fun.
Just a reminder.
Does the car run yet?
No, it's been a very busy summer. I need to finish painting the hood and the doors, and then the body can go on the frame. I can wet sand it and have it polished, and then it starts coming together. So it's tantalizingly close to having big progress. All the grunt work is done.
How long has this project been in progress?
About 5 years. So it takes a while.
So it's a true project car.
Yeah, it's a total body off the frame, everything. I rebuilt the rear end. I rebuilt the transmission, added an overdrive to it. Steering box got fully rebuilt. The frame I sent out, I cleaned that and got it powder coated, sandblasted and powder coated. Lots of patches on the body and doors and hood. But yeah, it's a long-term
Are you
project.
are you spraying it yourself? Or are you painting it yourself? Or are you
In the
sending it to a
garage.
place? Do you have a
I'm doing
room?
it myself.
Or you just have a box?
In the garage, and I bought a tent at Menards that I can sort of use as a spray booth. It works surprisingly well. So.
Does it have the little air filter that pulls it out so you don't die in there? Or are you just wearing the stuff?
I leave the ends open and run some fans.
Okay.
There was not as much dust in the paint as you would expect. It turned out remarkably clean, despite. Because I'm not looking for a George Barris level paint job. I want something that's not going to flake off in giant chunks and it's going to look good. I want a car I can drive on Route 66 across the country, have it be reliable enough to do that, but not worry about a stone chip or something. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm going for. But I also.
So you're not planning to enter it in Pebble Beach?
No, absolutely not. I'm much too pragmatic for that. But,
you're also not that rich, to be honest, Craig.
I mean, yes, that too.
We all do the same job. We're not rolling in it.
Well, Sam might be. He's an engineer by trade. So
no, not even close. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Am I supposed to say goodbye?